From a layman's guidebook to aliens versus God, life, the universe, Trump, and a cat. In order to understand the multiverse or the many worlds theory, most of our limited knowledge of the concept starts with a cat. And yes, that would be none other than Schrödinger's cat, which refers to an imaginary experiment that was never actually carried out in this world, at least we hope. In this thought experiment, a cat is placed in a box along with a vial of poison. A hammer trips and breaks the vial of poison, or does it not trip the hammer, breaking the vial and releasing the poison? Which way it goes depends on a random quantum event. Quantum physics requires the cat to go into two superimposed states, one of being half dead and the other of being half alive. Only when the box is opened does reality collapse in on the events and the cat's true state becomes one or the other. Dead or alive. You may feel you have already reached a mental roadblock in order to accept that two cats, one alive and the other dead, can simultaneously exist in the same box. Yet a basic understanding of the concept of Schrödinger's cat is a must in order to grasp the first inklings of parallel universes, multiple realities, or the many worlds interpretation of reality. Many worlds interpretation is one of several mainstream interpretations of quantum mechanics. Hugh helps to simplify the understanding of the multiverse/many worlds interpretation with the following description. In brief, one aspect of quantum mechanics is that certain observations cannot be predicted absolutely. Instead, there is a range of possible observations, each with a different probability. According to the MWI, each of these possible observations corresponds to a different universe. Suppose a six-sided die is thrown and that the result of the throw corresponds to a quantum mechanics observable. All six possible ways the die can fall correspond to six different universes. Like the work of Einstein, Everett arrived at this theory in part by taking the mathematics of quantum theory and assuming it could be taken literally. If the equation shows that there are two possibilities, then why not assume that there are two possibilities or even an infinite number of possibilities if the math allows? In the case of the Schrödinger's cat experiment, when you look inside the box, instead of adversely affecting the quantum system, you actually become part of the quantum system. You now exist in two states, one state that has found a dead cat and one state that has found a living cat. If you take this concept a bit further into the realm of an infinite number of universes as the math suggests, you will find an unlimited amount of variations of the cat and its condition, such as a sick cat, a mutated cat, a dying but not dead cat, a healthy thriving cat that somehow benefits on poison for dinner, and so on and so on. So according to Hughes, we live in an infinite multiverse where timelines are constantly branching off and creating distinct and coherent worlds, each experienced by a different version of you. Some of these twins will be doing exactly what you are doing right now, while others will have worn a different sweater this morning, and still others will have made vastly different career and life choices. Which means we all have to start rethinking our concepts of our place in all this. Maybe a version of you is experiencing the same thing in another dimension and you just become aware of that duality during déjà vu. While this may sound outlandish, and fodder for countless discussions on Reddit, Michio Kaku, the noted theoretical physicist and co-founder of string theory, added some fuel to this fire by stating in an interview with Big Think that the parallel universe explanation is not without some merit. He acknowledged that for most cases of déjà vu, the explanation can just be that we entered a space that looks like some place which simply elicits fragments of memories that we have stored in our brain. But in other situations, Kaku, who believes in multiverses, thinks we may be tuning in and out of parallel dimensions. Think of radio, said Kaku. If you're inside your living room listening to BBC Radio, that radio is tuned to one frequency. But in your living room there are all frequencies: Radio Cuba, Radio Moscow, the top 40 rock stations. All these radio frequencies are vibrating inside your living room, but your radio is only tuned to one frequency. Humans are vibrating waves, says Keku. And sometimes we can vibrate in unison with these other universes, and other times we can't. Let's start to explore the multiverse by using our current situation with our illustrious President Mr. Trump as a humorous example. Many top scientists and others believe that Donald Trump's election has once and for all definitively confirmed the existence of the multiverse. The reason being that even in a realm of infinite possibilities being played out all at once in many parallel universes, that the odds of any one of those universes electing Trump as president is utterly non-existent unless it was not up to us. So, this particular universe scenario could only mean by the mere fact that we elected Trump as president, that we had absolutely no other choice. We simply drew the short card and happened to be in the unlucky universe that had to elect Trump president as every other scenario was already taken. In other words, our cat is dead. Those better scenarios we lost out on include the one where Hitler won the war, God what I wouldn't give to be speaking German right now, and the one where Justin Bieber was chosen as the new Dalai Lama. This list goes on endlessly, but you get the idea. Still confused? As if the Trump presidency example was not proof enough for most of us of a multiverse reality, some of you may have heard talk of the Mandela effect. And though I have seen a few mentions of the Mandela effect possibly being tied to the multiverse theory, for me this phenomenon falls right into line with the multiverse scenario in which two parallel universes, each just slightly different than the other, may be overlapping and coming into contact, creating slightly different realities. Much of the Mandela effects that people are noticing may not resonate or make much sense to the younger millennials and Generation Z, as they have only known the later-day reality of this effect. But for the Generation Zers and older, these effects don't go unnoticed, causing many to think they are finally succumbing to a degenerative brain disease of some sort or another. The Mandela effect term was first coined by Fiona Brown, or a friend, or her husband, or all three in different universes at about the same time. The Mandela effect is what happens when someone has a clear, personal memory of something that never happened in this reality. Many people, mostly total strangers, seem to remember several of the exact same events with the exact same details. However, those memories are different from what's in history books, newspaper archives, and so on. Here is an article that summarizes this phenomenon: how a wild theory about Nelson Mandela proves the existence of parallel universes. December 27, 2017. By Paul Ratner. What does Nelson Mandela, the defiant revolutionary who led the people of South Africa from under apartheid, has to do with alternate realities? The answer is a conspiracy of conspiracies which has, of course, struck a strong chord on the internet. On December 5, 2013, when President Mandela died, a large number of people around the world found themselves thinking they were sure he died much earlier, while in prison in the 1980s. These people found each other online and the Mandela effect was born. What if there are certain events in our collective memories that some people remember one way and others remember completely differently? The Mandela effect theory says that both groups are actually remembering correctly. The difference is that one group lived in one timeline or reality and the other group experienced a different timeline in their past. Luke, I am your father. No longer exists. Even James Earl Jones is a bit confused. In 2017, the Mandela effect was invoked by people who thought the CERN super collider created a rip in reality and we are now living in one where Donald Trump is president. Some of my personal favorite Mandela effects include everything from movies, song lyrics, and Bible quotes that have changed. To learn more, just Google the Mandela effect and prepare to have your mind blown. Alright, let's talk about aliens. if we go back to the multiverse theory, then certainly there are a staggering number of universes containing a staggering number of aliens. But let's stick to this universe and our concept of aliens at this current time and place. We all know what our aliens look like thanks to the many various movies and supposed eyewitness accounts floating around out there. The most prevalent is the classic greys, big eyes, big heads, spindly arms, and legs bipedal humanoids. Now I must say I am pretty close to being a believer, as I have witnessed a few quite unexplainable things in my time traveling the Caribbean in a sailboat. There defiantly is a lot more to heaven and earth than dreamt of in our philosophy, Horatio. But with that being said, I do have a few issues with our current aliens as we know them. To put things in perspective, let's say we are in a universe that has produced intelligent life on other planets. The odds are good. See the Drake equation. But what happens to those odds when not only does the universe have to produce an intelligent life form with interstellar capabilities in a galaxy far, far away, and this life form just happens to be a bipedal humanoid like ourselves, and this bipedal humanoid alien race just happens to find their way to Earth only to stumble upon more semi-intelligent bipedal humanoids like themselves? The odds have to be so mega astronomical it defies all reasoning and statistical sense, outside of anything barring a multiverse scenario or matrix simulation. The odds get a lot better if our aliens are something completely unrecognizable and non-bipedal and definitely non-humanoid. Even on this planet of more than 250 species of primates, only one goes around on two legs. The truth of our current perception of aliens is that aliens who tend to look like us in science fiction are easier to relate to. Most aliens in SF are humanoid because humans produce SF, says Michael H. New, an astrobiology discipline specialist at NASA. While we are interested in the other, our conception of otherness is often limited. And a lot of experts firmly believe that aliens would not look at all like humans. For example, Stephen Jay Gould claims that life that evolved elsewhere would look totally different from us, and in fact, if you rerun the tape from the beginning of life on Earth, you wouldn't end up with humans on this planet either. The emergence of humanoids on Earth is a totally random event that was a fluke, even with the exact conditions that we arose from. But let's say that our aliens turn out to be bipeds with a human-like form. What could the possible explanation be? I will add a couple of final scenarios that have been mostly overlooked but may offer the most likely though highly controversial explanations yet. Is there any plausible reason why aliens would evolve to look like us? Let's explore. So, how do we reconcile and make sense of a possible connection between aliens, God, Trump, and a multiverse? Keep reading, we'll be getting there, we promise. To read more, order the complete ebook by Scott Martin. If you would like to read more about the multiverse and what it all means, pre-order the full ebook now for 50% off of the Amazon launch price of $9.95. This is video 1 of 2. If you would like to read the full ebook, please email us at stringtheoryearth@gmail.com. Get your ebook download. And don't forget the cat is dead. Oh, no, wait a minute. I think I saw it move. No, never mind, it's dead. At least until our next video.
My new national strategy for space recognizes that space is a warfighting domain, just like the land, air, and sea. We may even have a space force.
President Trump isn't just worried about illegal aliens, he's worried about real aliens too.
My new national strategy for space recognizes that space is a warfighting domain, just like the land, air, and sea. We may even have a space force. Develop another one. Space force. We have the Air Force, we'll have the Space Force.
Like, what a time to be alive. The wall has its own wall, and the president has his own president. This is insane. I mean...